Hello and welcome back to Streamer Consciousness, a podcast designed to talk about a person's thoughts and conscious reactions to events perceived as a continuous flow. I've got that nailed now. I've got that memorized. My name is Gideon. I go by Giddawid on YouTube, Twitch, and the various other social media as well. And Streamer Consciousness is available at Streamer Consciousness on the various platforms other than Twitter, which is at Casterminds, because that is the only name that would fit. And currently we have a new guest this week, a guest who helped come up with that name, Casterminds. It is PastaroniRavioli. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. There we go. I've got my clap back.
I love that.
I'm really glad to have you on the show for a multitude of different reasons. But I think it's really interesting because you're the first person on the show that isn't partnered, which I think is important because ultimately I want to talk to people that are affiliates as well. I want to get a whole range of different people that can talk from different angles and perspectives on growth on Twitch. And you're obviously working towards partnership right now as well. And you have been on the platform for a long time. So I would love it if you could tell us, firstly, your socials as to where people can find you, and then a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, well, I think you did a really good job, first of all, saying my username, PastaroniRavioli. Oh my God!
You did a terrible job of saying your username.
Terrible job. It's not PastaroniRavioli. It's
or Pastroni.
Ravioli. Or Pastroni. We get Pastroni a lot. Yeah, but it's PastaroniRavioli on twitch.tv. And you can also find me on Twitter at PastarRaviolis. I like to come up with really long names and they never fit on Twitter, but it's PastarRaviolis. And then on Instagram it's PastaroniRavioli. Everywhere else it's PastaroniRavioli as well.
Okay.
So that's really it. Those three. I'm not big on social media. I got to get better.
Yeah. And how long have you been on Twitch?
I've been on Twitch, well, as a viewer since it started. As a caster, 5.5 years. About 5.5 years. So we'll be in year six in like August, which is crazy. But you know, I people are always like, oh, you've been on Twitch for such a long time. It was definitely like one of the, like, I just stream maybe like once a week, twice a week. Now it's like the last year and a half, I've been like really kind of putting in more streams, like 5 days a week, 6 days a week at least. So.
And when did Twitch start?
2013? 2013. I think, if I'm right. I got on there in 2013. It was like a few months after it started.
I think it was before that, because I think Jorbs has been streaming since 2012 or 2011.
That makes sense. It was so I remember Justin TV. I remember watching Justin TV. And then it switched over to Twitch. And then it took me a few months to like, all right, let me just make a new account then.
June 6th, 2011.
Oh, then yeah, a couple years after then. I remember it took me a little while to like accept that Justin TV was over.
Do you know
the days were
So June 6th, 2011. Do you know the date I started on Twitch?
No, I don't.
June 6th, 2016. So 5 years to the day after Twitch started, I started my channel.
Did you like see an ad for like their 5-year anniversary or something?
No, I was watching. I moved over because of Ray Narvaez Jr., who was a content creator, and I saw all of the success that he had at the beginning, and he raised about 20 grand in the first week that he was live, of people just being kind because he created a lot of YouTube content for a group called Achievement Hunter. And I really loved his stuff. And from there, I was like, wow, this is a new experience. Maybe I should look into this. So.
That's the thing. That's the difference between YouTube and Twitch for me, I think. I never got really into YouTube much. I just started my YouTube. But when you see people on YouTube, they have, the numbers, the platform's bigger. But when it comes to like community, I think Twitch has always been like such a close knit. Like when you get a community going, you're going. I mean, they are so dedicated and so like supportive that I feel like that's a big difference between YouTube and Twitch, at least from what I can see for the communities I've been in.
For sure. So tell us a little bit about you and your content.
So I started on Twitch being a retro gamer. Actually, not a lot of people know that because it's so completely different than what I do now. I do kind of variety. I started doing retro, then I got off of retro games because after so many like it was really because of my computer. I had a really crappy PC. I have always built my PC, but I didn't want to like upgrade. I'm like, well, I really want to start streaming on Twitch because I was in a lot of Twitch communities and they're like, you'd be great at it. I was like, I don't know. I put it off for a while. And then I was like, let me give it a go. And I was playing Harvester. That was my first stream, was Harvester. And that's like a really old like FMV game. So I used to play like which is like full motion video. It's like where you see like an actual video footage. It's like pixelated and stuff. Yeah. Not a lot of people know about those games, but there's like freaking best like Tex Murphy games, stuff like that. And so that's how I got started. And then I started to play I've always been into Sims. And then I was like, well, you know, I upgraded my PC, started Sims, started playing some Sims. And then after a while, I was like, let me just explore more games I can play. Because I've always been kind of like, I'm going to play this type of game. I'm going to stick with it. And then I started meeting more people and they're like, oh, have you ever played this game? You know, and yeah. And then when the Switch came out, I had pre-ordered the Switch. When the Switch came out, I really started just doing complete variety. And that's what it's been since. A lot of Animal Crossing, a lot of Among Us, a lot of, I still do Sims with challenges sometimes. I do cooking streams. I do IRL streams. I like to do it all. I like to see what I can get into and just go from there.
Painting streams as well.
Yeah, painting streams. I did a lot of painting streams, like oil painting. I'm not really good at drawing, but like with the oil, like whenever you're just kind of going, you don't really need an outline. Why I started it. Bob Ross tutorials. I've done a lot of Bob Ross cosplays. Then paint the Bob Ross like a paint along video is good. So it's always been fun.
Yeah. So tell me about the move from retro gaming into variety gaming as a whole. Did you see like a sudden shift in terms of viewership or like the people that were watching you?
Yeah. Anytime I've switched my content, there's I don't know how to describe it. It's like a whole different vibe. So the retro gaming community in Twitch is freaking awesome. It's very small. But once you start like going in, like doing even Mario, like old school Mario, I mean, they're all about it. Very dedicated. They would go every stream, but it's a very small community. And then when you go to Sims, you know, obviously, I think there's a unsaid kind of rule that Sims streamers, very talented, but their audience is a lot younger. Usually, you got to be a little bit more wholesome. Coming from retro gaming with all these like, I don't know. It was tough for me. It was tough for me to like kind of tone it down because you don't change your personality for your content, but you might change your mannerisms so you don't offend people. And so I had to really like make sure, you know, people felt comfortable in my stream. And I had to really start being a little bit more aware that, hey, sometimes maybe the way I say something or whatever might come across as rude. So maybe I want to change my views, but I might change the tone of how I say something. And it was really a good experience for me to come off of just exclusively retro gaming to like go into variety content. I really learned how to like tone stuff down. And you guys know how excited I get and stuff. This is me toned down. I'm just always 100%. I wake up like ding. So
for sure. And I've had maybe one experience of modding for a Sims streamer. I was asked to temporarily mod for a friend who she needed to pop to the shops quickly. So she gave me the rundown and there were about 2,000 people there. And it is an experience unlike any other, because especially with the streams that we try and do, it's more, I guess, based towards a slightly older audience or a more mature audience, where people can enjoy the content from probably like 18 to 34, that kind of range. Not to say that older people can't enjoy the content as well, or that younger people can't enjoy the content. However, the range of questions that you get asked as a sim streamer, and being able to see that in action, of somebody gets timed out because they asked a question like, or they're putting their age in the chat and they're like, I'm 13. And it's like, okay, well, I want to protect that person because I don't want people out there to go try and whisper these younger children and stuff. So you might time that out, and then they put it in again, and then they put it in again, and they don't recognize, they're not understanding why something like that might not be appropriate, even though you've messaged saying, hey, please stop putting your age in the chat. They're in their mind, they're like, hey, I want the streamer to see this, and therefore that is their focus. Their main goal is, can I get seen by the streamer? Or so it feels that way. A lot of the time, it definitely seems like there's a lot of children attention seeking when it comes to being in that kind of category. And that's not to take away from the streamers at all, because they are fantastic at what they do.
It's kind of like, and what I liked about sim streams, I'm very I do suffer from ADHD, and I could totally get so derailed from my stream talking about something. And I sometimes really like that. Sometimes I need like a little break, like a little break. And I'll be like, oh, let's talk about dogs. So people always like telling me like what their names of their dogs are, how many dogs they have, what kind of dogs they have, what kind of dogs I have. Like, it's just constant. But the shift from, especially when you have the retro streamers, I had people, my demographic was, when I looked, it was from ages 25 to like 40, which was, it's a very small group on Twitch.
Yeah.
And I had some, like some friends I knew, like before, like, I'll say pre-Spexy Gold days. So, because you remember,
pre-friends that you have nowadays.
Pre-friends that I have nowadays.
Oh.
All my friends were a lot older. I didn't know Twitch had like a younger audience. And then when I started doing sim streams, all my retro people, I think I may have like a couple that are still left. And they just support me because they're, we're friends, and they've been with me since the beginning. But the shift between just viewership alone was like a big drop. Anytime you switch your content, it's a huge drop. In my experience, some people might not, big drop, big shift in your audience, your regular viewers and stuff. You have to be mindful of your regular viewers. But I've always been, if I don't have, I really lost the passion for retro gaming because I started discovering new games, and like new ways to stream. And, you have to really just kind of, I'm not saying you have to, like I said, you don't have to kind of guard yourself from a community. You don't have to like completely change everything just because you want to try something. You can always go back to it. But once I discovered that I really like to do variety streaming, that was it. Sorry, Kenny's
That's okay.
Whining.
Yeah, speaking of dogs, and you having dogs.
Speaking of dogs, yeah. He knows I have French fries over here, so he's begging.
Exactly. I think that's something interesting. Obviously, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today, and I'll explain that in just a second. But to go off of your point of saying, like, a lot of the time there is a huge drop when it comes to what game you're playing if you change games, and that actually helped me get partnered. Also, it feels like, because of the fact that at the time I was streaming lots of different games. Among Us was big. Before that was Fall Guys. Again, being a community manager for Dead by Daylight for so many years, I already have a following there. And then Phasmophobia was taking off as well, and it was around that sort of time. So in the fact that I was playing sort of 4 different games and managing to retain an audience while playing different games was firstly some kind of a miracle, because that just doesn't happen very often. But secondly, I think that helped me recognize that I could do it at that point. And it just, all the stars seem to align. So if you are out there and you're playing lots of different variety games, and you are getting the numbers that drop every now and then, please don't think that that's abnormal, or it's people are going to watch what they want to watch. There will be people there that want to watch you, and they will stay and watch you regardless, no matter what. That is fantastic. But you also want to make sure that you are trying to work on growing, I guess. So yeah, if you can maintain a high average across different games, then you are doing incredibly well as well. So
I think whenever, well, I was a community manager for Twitch Sings. This was after like I was playing a lot of Sims and stuff. And I was doing variety then too. A lot of Battle Royale. That's when the Battle Royale kind of blew up. PUBG was really big, and I switched to more Battle Royale type content. And then I switched to Twitch Sings because I've always played music. And that community was huge in terms of support. But yeah, as soon as I switched off when I left the Twitch Sings community before they, shut down, I mean, it was like huge drops. So you just have to really be aware of like, what you're putting out there versus what your community wants to see. But you have to, I've never been about, don't play a game that makes you unhappy, because then people are going to see that and they're not going to watch somebody that's not happy on stream. So
for sure,
make sure you're happy first,
Absolutely. And as I've talked about it before, but as someone that suffers with a personality disorder and have a few issues here and there when it comes to my mental health, sometimes I'll boot up a stream and just won't be in the tip-top shape, or that happy moment of being able to bring my best. And sometimes that can be very much like can affect my content. However, on the flip side of that, sometimes doing those streams where I'm just being completely honest and open about how I'm feeling, in the process of doing that, chat has made sure that, like, me recognizing that I can stream when I'm not totally 100% happy, even though I might be playing something that I'm happy, which I think is where you're trying to differentiate. I might be playing something that I enjoy, but I just might not be happy at the time. Chat can really bring you out of those funks.
Oh, for sure.
And that in itself is incredible. So
chat really gets your back sometimes, especially like after long shifts or something. You're tired. Sometimes you're just tired. So yeah.
So
you're right.
Not only do you just brought up long shifts, not only do you do your Twitch streaming, but you also work as well, full time.
I know. I respect to people that work and do Twitch. Like, it's so hard. It's so hard, especially if you're trying to do it full time on both. And I go to school, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I work at a hospital. I work a week on, week off, 7 days a week, and I do at minimum of 12-hour shifts. So it's just a lot. I work in a pharmacy. My chat always jokes that, no, you don't make drugs in a van, because I'll say like, oh, I was making drugs today, and people are like, new people are like, whoa, what's going on, but I make medications for a hospital. I love my job. There's days like I have to work tomorrow and I have that whole, like, it's kind of like the Sunday blues, I start getting it like 3 days before, but I'd much rather stream than work. I think that's for everyone though. Streaming is fun. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough, especially when I come home after a long day, a stressful day, or a sad day. And because some days at a hospital are not going to be fun. But yeah, starting up the stream and having your chat there, and you're like, guys, I'm really tired, or I'm really, sad today, and they boost you up in like 5 minutes. I love them so much. I love my community. So, and it's part of your community too. So, yeah, it's great.
I think what's really admirable about what you do is that, we know each other really well.
Oh, do we?
But the fact that it takes you an hour to get to work, and then 12 hours
Yeah.
at work, and then an hour to get home, and then you've
Yeah.
got to eat something. And at that point, you're like 14 and a half hours into your day. And then you're like,
Yeah.
hey, I need to stream.
Yeah.
And
I need to shower, and I need to take care of my dogs. And yeah. And I have a house, so I gotta like clean up after myself.
Well, I think that's
and then do homework.
Why it's maybe been more difficult for you as an affiliate to push towards partner, because like you said, doing work 7 days on, 7 days off, it's been hard to keep up consistency. So how have you managed to adapt to that mentality so that people can come in and see you when they can? And how do you continue to keep up your enthusiasm for streaming when it can be difficult on those weeks where people might not show up as much because you haven't been there for a week?
So I would say about a year and a half, 2 years ago, something in my mind just kind of clicked, where I used to just stream for a hobby. And I still consider it a hobby, but it's something that I want to do. I thought to myself, this is what I want. I want to just wake up, create content for people, make people laugh. Since then, I said like a year and a half ago, I started to just like, okay, now we got to do 5, 6, 7 days a week. And I don't know. It was like a mentality switch where I was like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. It doesn't matter. If this is what I want, I've got to just go. Like, I just got to do it. And I just don't know how to explain it. Just that day, I was like, all right, I'm going all in. Like, I'm going to commit, because it was never a consistent thing. I took months off. I try not to cancel streams as much as possible. My communities really understand. They know, like, if I cancel a stream, they know, like, I'm real, like, okay, I'm not doing well, as in, like, I need sleep or I need, like, a mental break.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I just one day woke up and I was like, I need to commit to this, because this is what I want. Because I was really tired of waking up to going a job that I was unhappy with, because back then I wasn't working at the hospital. I was working at a corporate pharmacy position. I wake up, I'd be miserable all day, cry, come home. I would just have no passion for anything. And I would just be miserable. And I thought one day, I was like, I'm tired of being miserable. I want to do something that I want to do for myself. And that was it. Streaming's been it. I love it. It's not about how do you make time or how do you manage your time. It's how do you do this? You just have to do it. Whatever you got to do, schedule it, whatever tools you need to make it be done, do it. You just have to commit. And I don't know how I do it. I wish there was a way where I could be like, oh yeah, you just have to take this, thing and do this, or you have to download this program or whatever. You just do it. You just put on the camera and do it and have fun doing it, because this is what you signed up to do. This is what you wanted to do to be happy. And this is, if it didn't make me happy, I wouldn't be so passionate about making sure I get my streams in and stuff. If you don't like when you wake up and you're like, oh, I gotta stream today, or oh, it's all about mentality. I wake up every day and I'm like, okay, I gotta go to work and I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna stream, it's gonna be a great day. I say that almost every day, like on my work days. And just having that mentality, that's what gets you through. It's not the scheduling, it's not anything else, it's just the mentality. So
I think we definitely have a flip side to that, which is, I guess, because there have been days where I've woken up and been like, man, I don't want to hit the go live button. But on those days, it's never been, I don't want to stream. Like I would agree with what you're saying, based on the fact that I don't think it's ever a denial of wanting to stream, but more, some days are going to be really hard to hit that go live button and be like, can I put myself in front of people? However, doing it and hitting the button, it can change your entire mood based on how you're feeling. And I think it comes back to what you're saying of, if you can tell yourself, hey, if I can just get there and hit the button, then you flip the switch, you go into streamer mode, and when you're in that mode,
literally.
then you can start to work through what it is that might be ailing you at that point. So
There's never been a stream where I've put on where there's been games where I wish I haven't played, or there might have been something I've done on stream, like as in like, oh, I wish I didn't play this. I wish I would have played this instead.
yeah.
But in terms of like streaming and talking to my community, there's never been a stream where I was like, I wish I didn't stream this day. And I've always left the stream in a better mood than when I started, typically, unless I've had like, you know, a lot of trolls. But even then, it's been a learning experience. I've gotten something out of it, or, you know, where we have one troll, you got to think about the other people that you've helped. I keep holding this lip gloss. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's where you have to think about the how many people you've helped. You know, where I've had maybe one troll, I've had a bunch of people saying, hey, like, you really helped me today. Thank you so much. Or, hey, this got my mind off of stuff. And that's what really helps me. And I feel like if you leave a stream more consistently as, oh, I'm just exhausted, I'm so glad that's over, I don't think streaming is for you. Doesn't matter how many people you have in your chat. If you're just only looking at the number side of it, if you're just leaving chat feeling kind of defeated each time, I don't think streaming's for you. I think you have to really love what you're doing, and you really have to love your community, and, you know, love actually getting up and doing that. So it's not me faking like, hey, I'm going to have a good day. I do have a good day. I do have a good stream. I do, you know, it's not fake it till you make it. It's just, this is what it is. It's fun. So
I think it stream can give you life. And ultimately, even on days where it's quiet in chat, I might make the chat aware of the fact that I know it's quiet, and be like, hey, you know, I just want to acknowledge all the people that are watching the stream and say thank you for being a part of the stream. Because even if I feel like I'm talking to myself, that doesn't mean that I am. And I highlighted that at one point. We did a stream, somebody had brought up how quiet it was in the chat, and I asked very politely if the lurkers, so lurkers in chat are people that watch the stream but aren't actively at their keyboards. So they might be doing something else. They might be cooking dinner whilst watching the stream or other things like that. So if people are lurking, I'm not gonna actively call them out and be like, hey, can you answer this question? Or I'm not going to ask them to type things. And at one point, somebody brought up that it was really quiet in the chat for how many people were there from their perspective. And I said, well, a lot of people are lurking. They're just enjoying the stream. And I asked very politely if the lurkers could type something in the chat, just to show that there are people watching, even on those days where you might feel like it's nobody there. And I kid you not, it was maybe 20 or 30 people said, hey. Just to show that it's, even on those days where you feel like it's dead silent in your chat, that does not mean that you're not entertaining someone or giving someone that little bit of energy that they need that day. So please don't ever, if you're sitting there thinking that you're not entertaining people or you're struggling with that, just know that you might be affecting more people's lives in a positive manner than you ever realize, or you're ever going to realize. The reason we bring this all up is because having you on the show today, which I'm super happy about, you recently did a stream talking all about Twitch etiquette and the way that people do certain things. Having been on streaming and platforming, or the streaming platform, for so long, you've come up with a comprehensive list of various things that people do that maybe if they didn't do, they might have a bit of an easier time on Twitch. So we were going to talk through some of this list because we think it would be a pretty integral learning experience for a lot of people out there that might be new to streaming, and to talk through Twitch etiquette. So let's start at point number 1, I guess.
So I just wrote this list I made on stream. I'm very impulsive as a person, so some of these will not make sense. So I'm glad we're going to be able to talk through them. But I just wrote self promo, and I think one of the biggest things, as I'm not, we talked about how to classify me as a streamer before, and I would say I'm on like a smaller scale size stream. I'm averaging, a little bit above, like, I just applied for a partner, so that should show you like where I am.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people coming in because chat might not be like speeding by.
Yeah.
They have a moment for me to read their message, but it's still very active. And they'll write, "Oh, I just got done with my stream. Do you have any advice for streamers?" Or, "Oh, I just played this game on my stream." Or, "Oh, can you shout me out? I'm a new streamer on Twitch." Don't do that. That is so rude. That's like going to somebody's party and being like, "Hey, I'm having another party over here. You guys should come over here and come to my party." Like, that's so rude. But yeah, that's like, I don't know why that just bothers me so much. I think it bothers most people. And even on Twitter too. I'm not big, like, promote your own stuff, promote your friend's stuff, but don't go on somebody's going, "Hey, I'm going live" post. Don't be like, "Oh, well, while you're here."
Yeah, exactly.
You should check out my stream. We're streaming the same thing today. People got balls, man.
From my perspective, I completely agree with all that, by the way. From my perspective, I often assume that every person I talk to on Twitch has the potential of being a Twitch streamer. I'm not sitting there being like, this is just a viewer in my chat. As much as they are viewing the chat, anybody that has a Twitch username, I assume, could be a streamer. So at no point are we sitting there going,
same,
man, this person, I didn't know that they streamed. It's more, hey, my assumption is that you all stream. Therefore, if somebody raids me, who's been watching my stream for a long time, that might be the first time I find out that they're a streamer. But at that point, we've already established a connection anyway. And then I'm going to be more inclined to go check out their stream. Whereas somebody that comes in and goes, "Oh, wow, you're playing X game. This is fantastic. On Tuesdays at 6 p.m., that's when I usually play this game. And if you check me out on the Tuesday at 6 p.m., did you know that I stream?" Like, they go through this rigmarole of doing this. As a streamer, and if I needed to go from a stream to go stream myself, usually with my friends, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm going to go do the thing. I'll see you later." Like, everybody knows that I'm going off to stream, but I don't need to actively announce that I'm going to stream. No. It's like, "Hey, I got to go do some stuff." Like, they know that I'm busy, and it's more, "Hey, you've had the chance to hop in and pop by." That's the important bit. So I think it's being aware of the fact that you don't need to actively continue to announce to people or go into people's streams to self-promote, because that is not the way to build a good community and natural growth, because it will be unnatural as it is. If you're going like for like, kind of follow for follow, that scenario, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, exactly. And like, the second one I have here is sub. Like, when people ask for subs, I think that's like another thing that it's one of those like sly things. You know what I mean? That goes like, how people are self promo, but they do it in a sly way. I feel like people are getting like more creative how to ask for subs ever since the affiliate program came out. I say it's like a year or two ago, but it's been out for a while now, hasn't it?
2017 maybe.
Oh my god!
I think it was late 2017. Oh, I think it was April. It was either April 2017 or 2018 that I remember.
I'm getting old. It feels like a year ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Ever since then, I feel like there was a shift of like people asking for more subs and stuff. I mean, but like
you're talking about audience members. You like people watching the streamer asking for a sub to the streamer.
Yeah, like oh, I don't get paid till Friday, y'all. Wish I could get a sub. Like, it's a little tacky. Like,
I don't think it's a little tacky. I think it's really tacky.
Tacky too.
It's more than that as well. Like, often, yeah, it'll be like, hey, can I get a sub? Or, man, I really wish I had a sub to this streamer. Or, man, I've had such a horrible day. And they start using that to try and guilt trip people into giving them a sub. And it's like, that's not the kind of support the streamer wants. That's you trying to get free stuff, which is not, that's got nothing to do with supporting the streamer. People sub to streamers because they want to support them. That's why.
Yeah.
So, and realistically, that's what means something to a streamer when they get a sub. It's not about the money. It's, hey, this person is actively choosing to support me all over Twitch with my global emotes.
Yeah. And I think people don't like understand the power of just being in the channel as, you know, a chatter or just hanging out. It means so much to streamers when you're there. So like asking for subs, it just kind of just puts everybody off.
Yeah. And the other thing about that is, you know, sometimes there will be people in the chat, you know, people who gift a lot of subs, or, you know, they'd be classified as whales in terms of the marketing world. People that are whales are the ones that would spend a lot of money maybe in one go to support someone because they want to also perhaps make a scene, you know, but they want it to be like, hey, you know, here's all of this support in one go. That can be amazing. Whales are really great. But at the same time, then people will suddenly be super nice to that person. And that, in a way, is very sly as well, that they're suddenly wanting a sub because they're like, if I'm nice to this person that's just gifted a bunch of subs, then maybe they'll give me a sub. And again, don't do that. Don't pressure those people. It's not fair, especially if they're just showing their support in a way that's the way they want to show the support. If they want to gift 50 subs, that's amazing. Great. If you get one, fantastic. But don't sit there and pressure that person.
I've been an avid Twitch watcher, and there's a few communities that I do give subs to that I turned off my badge for sub gift because people would be like, at PastaroniRavioli, how you doing? Because they see my little sub badge or my gift badge or conductor, hype train conductor badge or whatever. I'm like, like, let me live my life in this stream, please. Let me lurk.
Exactly.
Yeah. We have I think you have that same one, but asking a streamer play a different game. Jorbs gave me this one. So I had other streamers give me some ideas as well. Jorbs was in my chat, and he actually brought this one up. He says the one he gets the most is asking a streamer to play a different game, or why are you not playing X game, or whatever.
Obviously, we had Jorbs on the podcast before, and he plays Slay the Spire a lot. He's played it for thousands of hours. So people ask him to play that as soon as he's playing something else. And
drive me crazy.
I get it a lot with Dead by Daylight as well, because I've played that for 4,000 hours. So
I get a lot with Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Like,
it will just
almost
be,
every day.
Why aren't you playing this? It's not, hey, and here it is, okay? I'm going to give you 2 examples. Why aren't you playing this game? And, hey, I love it when you play X game. It's so enjoyable. I would love to watch you play it again. Now, I don't know about you, but as a streamer, when you see, why aren't you playing this? It makes my blood boil at least a little bit, because there's a sense of entitlement to the fact that you aren't playing the thing that they want to watch you play. Therefore, you know, you're potentially then supposed to feel bad that their day is ruined because you're playing something else. And it's not always that deep, but some people have made it that deep. Therefore, it creates an adverse reaction when I see that. Whereas somebody saying, hey, I really just love when you played this game, encourages me. It makes me go, hey, I'm going to play it again, because I love that I'm making somebody feel good about themselves when they watch me play that game. And the same thing applies to, when are you playing with this person again? That is, I think, on the same wavelength of, hey, why don't you ever play with Pasta anymore?
I get that with you. Like, I honestly get that with you in my chat. People are like, why don't you play with Gid anymore? I'm like, who's Gid?
But it might have been, you might have played together 2 days ago and they missed it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah,
They don't think
exactly.
about either like checking the VOD. They don't think about, hey, okay, maybe they're busy or doing different things. They don't think about you in that scenario. They think about themselves. And I think that's why it's frustrating. Whereas, hey, I really enjoy it when you play with this person. Have you got any plans to play any games together again? Or I'd love to see you guys play together. Like, those kind of comments are way more encouraging to get a streamer to want to play a game again than it is to tell them, why aren't you doing this for me? So
Yeah, exactly. Like I get a lot of why don't you play I've been playing Among Us a lot lately, and I haven't been playing as much with the OGs because, well, just scheduling, like me waking up, I've been waking up a little bit later trying to get ready for my work shifts at night. And they're like, you haven't played with Lexi and Freya for Among Us. I'm like, yeah, they played this morning. I played with them 4 days ago.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, they don't, and it comes off. It's not that it's a like an annoying question or anything like that. Like, it's the fact that it makes it seem like, oh, you can't make good content without that person.
Yep.
That's what I take it as, and I don't like that. You know, it makes you feel kind of like, oh, I'm not entertaining enough on my own, and it makes you kind of have like a self-doubt, and especially if you have like an imposter syndrome or anything like that, it really gets into that and doesn't make you feel great.
So yeah, please don't do that. If you're out there sitting in a chat and you really want someone to play a game with someone, think about the way you're going to approach that.
Yeah, exactly. Just be kind. Just think about how you would want to be asked, I guess. I'm going to kind of summarize this. I wrote, "You're not like other girls." As a female streamer, I get a lot of like, I'm going to just put all these in one. Okay. I'm just going to, like, there's a few bullet points. I'm just going to put all in one so we can just talk about it, because I know they're going to overlap and stuff.
That's fine.
But like, you're not like other girls. I get people that I ban the word OnlyFans in my chat. They ask about OnlyFans, show your feed, you know, boobs, blah, blah, blah. What is your relationship status? Stuff like that. Any kind of like gamer girl stereotypes. I get that a lot. Actually, way more now than I have back then. Like when I was, way back when I was, I guess I would have been hitting partnership requirements then. They've changed since then. But around my concurrent viewership as I get now, I was hitting that a long time ago with retro streaming. And I didn't get that as much as I do now. But I don't know if it's like population or like now I'm do variety. But I've been getting that a lot. Like, I think people need to know that Twitch, we joke about this, but Twitch isn't a dating site. People meet people on Twitch, and that's fine. You know, you make friendships, relationships, whatever, but ultimately it's an entertaining platform. I don't understand I don't know I just don't know where people get at when they're like, oh, show your feet. What if I did? Like, what if I showed my feet? Like, what is that going to do for you? What does that accomplish? You know what I mean?
It accomplishes a lot for that specific person, but it comes back to the level of entitlement. That's what it comes back
it's
to.
Entitlement.
Is that they feel like you should do that for them, and that's it. And that is them completely disregarding your feelings in the matter. I think that's why I'm so strongly against that kind of stuff, is because it's people not thinking about others in the scenario. And
too, like, a lot of people come in my chat and they're like, never been there before, you know, they don't have any chat messages, or they just follow and they're like, hey gorgeous, or hey beautiful. I think that's not a really good way to like address somebody that's streaming. Or it just kind of like, it puts like a red flag in my head for some reason, because as nice as that can come off, it kind of comes off as a creepy thing. And you know, like with the whole like you're not like other girls thing, I'll get people that come in my chat immediately like, oh wow, I really appreciate some girls not showing, you know, cleavage or whatever. I get that a lot because I am very like conservative in like clothing, but that's just my personality. I don't think, might be the feminist in me, but I don't think that I think women should wear whatever they want.
Yeah.
I think men should respect, just like women respect men in their streams. I think men should respect women, and they should be able to wear what they want when they want, as long as they're in TOS. I think it's fine.
Yeah. Even within the terms of somebody saying like, hey, I respect the fact that you cover up cleavage and stuff, that can still come across as rude. It's you might be feeling like you're trying a different approach to get that streamer to like you more, but realistically, if you were just a normal person talking in a normal conversation, this is why I urge and insist on people reading the room. Read the room, talk. If you walk up to a stranger in the street and you're like, show your feet, hey, beautiful, all this kind of stuff, what's going to happen? It's I don't understand the difference between me sitting in my room and somebody coming in chat, which is the equivalent of a stranger walking into my room and saying this to me. That's the way I tend to look at it, because I try to not look at people as usernames. I try to look at them as human beings that are typing to me. So again, I think that makes it very difficult when these people try all these different approaches to get you on their side, rather than just focusing on talking to you as a human being. And just to add to what you were saying, another one that of my little pet peeves is when people just ask non-stop questions. They're not.
You get that a lot.
I get that a lot as a streamer. I feel like people feel like, one, because I like to talk about deep topics and stuff from time to time, and obviously like we're doing this podcast right now, so we can discuss the deeper topics, I guess, behind Twitch. But often people will ask me questions because they become really interested in what I'm going to respond, because just the way my brain works, I guess, a lot of the time. But it will become like an interview in my chat where that person is then asking question after question after question, rather than talking to me like a human being, us having a conversation with each other. It becomes them interviewing me, going, hey, what's your favorite indigenous mammal to Africa? And it's like,
it's very specific stuff.
Yeah, because they want it to seem like it's a good question, and it's I guess from my perspective, like I try and call people out on that now and say like, hey, I just want to talk to you like a human being. That's it. Yeah. Like, you can ask a question, feel free, but respond like you would rather than just going straight to another question, so. Yeah.
It's the amount of questions you get. I mod for your channel. I don't know if people know that. I'm a streamer, but I also help my friends mod. And well, I think between Spexy's chat, your chat, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Y'all must have just like well, you guys do have epic brains. I think people just want to see that. But it's just wild. It's always like very specific stuff. Very specific. So it's really funny to me, but I don't understand. It stresses you out. It stresses me out as a viewer seeing that. So, I also get the whole, I don't know how to say this, but I'm just going to read it how it wrote.
Yeah.
I get a lot of, like, where you guys get questions, I get a lot of, like, especially if I have older viewers coming back, which is something recently I've seen. I get a lot of, oh, wow, you look great. You lost a lot of weight, which I have. And, it's just, it makes me think about how I was very unhealthy at a time, and it took a lot for me to get healthy, like with drinking and binge eating and stuff. And I know we're talking about a triggering topic here, but it really just stresses me out and makes me so sad. And and then it opens up a discussion for like health stuff, and people become these health experts on Twitch, and I don't understand that. So I hate that question, or the statement. I hate when people are like, oh wow, you've lost a lot of weight.
Well, the thing is
I would Never.
you could stop at "you look great" or "it's great to see you." You know, you don't need to say,
or it looks like you're doing well.
you don't need to say you've lost a lot of weight. I don't think that should ever have to come into the conversation, because, you know, it's happened to me too, where people might come in and be like, "Oh man, you know, you're looking so much thinner." And I might know within myself that I don't feel like I've lost any weight. And then at that point, then I feel super self-conscious about the fact that someone thinks I look thinner, whereas it might not be anything to do with that. And then it's like it happens on both sides. I think mentioning a person's weight is just never something that I feel like is going to end well.
I had somebody since quarantine, you know, I hadn't been going to the gym and stuff. I gained a little bit here and there. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, weight is not a permanent thing. It doesn't define you. But somebody was like, "Oh, quarantine weight's got you, huh?"
Gosh.
I was like, "Oh yeah, but shut up." So it's just, you know, because people keep up with it. I don't get it. Like, you know, I just don't understand why people make such a big deal about things like that. It makes people so self-conscious. Whether it's a compliment or, you know, obviously like somebody comes in the chat, calls a streamer fat or something, like that's just rude. But some people try to be nice and be like, "Oh, you're doing a great job. I see you've lost so much weight."
It can trigger the same feelings as someone coming in and calling you fat. Yeah.
It makes me think, "Oh God, I was so fat back then," or, "Oh, yeah." For me, it's not that. It just makes me think of like the time I was like really just unhealthy, and it puts me back in that mental state. So
can I add another one in here before I forget?
Yeah.
Which is someone coming in the chat and being like, "Hey, do you remember me?" That one is a bit of a pet peeve as well. Well, no, that's a whole nother one entirely we can get into, of people saying, "Man, I'm your biggest fan," and they haven't hit the follow button. Like that one, you know, that one can be quite troubling, because I often challenge them by asking what their favorite video is of mine, and they have no response. But people saying, "Hey, do you remember me?" or "I haven't been here in 2 weeks. Do you remember me?" or "Hey, it's been 3 months. Do you remember me?" Either way, it's putting the streamer on the spot, and it's forcing the streamer into either saying, "Yes, of course I remember you," which they're trying to get because they want the serotonin boost of being like, "Hey, that person remembers me." But it also then puts the streamer in that uncomfortable position if they don't remember you, that then you are making them feel anxious or bad about the fact that that might be the case. So like ultimately, and the thing is I sometimes will find it insulting if I do remember the person and they think I've forgotten them. Like that's the other thing, is that person then feels like I would have forgotten them, and that hurts. So
it does.
From my perspective, I've always made sure that people, you know, don't ask the question, "Do you remember me?" to a streamer, because ultimately they're either going to, if you say "Hey" in the chat, they might be like, "Hey, it's great to see you again," you know, then you know that they remember you. Or, "Hey, you know, it's been a little while since I've been here." That can be fine, because that might spark the streamer's memory, or they might, you know, you can check chat logs as well as a streamer. So like sometimes if someone comes in and it's been a while, I might click through the chat logs and see a word or phrase that they said that might trigger a memory of going, "Oh, they were here when this happened," you know? So it's just, it comes across as rude. So that's another one to avoid saying to streamers is, "Hey, do you remember me?"
On that, I have a lot of people coming in that knew me from like retro gaming or like when I first started streaming, and they'll say something about your numbers, or like, "Oh, you're really popping off," you know, or, "Oh, you gonna," you know, or I get I've had this recently. I had somebody like, "Ever since you gotten good numbers, you've changed." Like, you haven't been here in 5 years, man. Of course I changed. I got a better PC. I don't play on an Etch-a-Sketch anymore. because they were asking like, well, it came through like the why don't you play this thing anymore? They're like, oh, you've changed in 5 years. You used to play all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, like. So that is also one of something that like coming from affiliate into this transition that I'm kind of going through. Yeah, you'll get people that are like, you've changed.
I mean, big streamers get that too. You know, like I think there's a video from Tim the Tatman. I've talked about it before, I don't think on the podcast, but he stated, you know, like, oh man, Overwatch made you can't play anything else, you've changed, Overwatch made you. And then he moved to PUBG and it was like, oh man, PUBG, you've changed, PUBG made you, how could you play this new game? And then he's playing Modern Warfare and they're like, you've changed, you know. It's like but he's still there, he's still streaming, he's still a massive streamer. But like that is the same thing of people just constantly feel the need to tell you that you've changed. The other thing that I'd state is like some people will just be like, hey, you've got 400 people watching you right now or whatever. As soon as you get like a big raid, they feel that necessity to tell you. And the thing is a lot of us as streamers turn off our view count because it's not it's not important to us to see the number of people there, especially when you know people lurk. Because ultimately, if I don't know the exact number, my content should be as good if I'm streaming to 3 people as it should be streaming to 3,000 people. It shouldn't matter because ultimately I want to create the best content for the people available. So not having my view count on not only gives me less anxiety, but also should make my content consistent. I really don't like when, and this is not from a chat's perspective, but from a streamer's perspective, for those smaller streamers out there, when they say how many people you've raided with. Hey, this Giddawid's just raided me with 100 people. Why does that bit matter? Like, ultimately, like, I get that some people get excited about that, but realistically, you should be focusing on the fact that, you know, you've got a raid and some people are coming in and focus on the people coming in. Don't focus on the number of people coming in. Because, again, that detracts from the raid itself in many respects. And especially as you get bigger raids from bigger people, you know, obviously my first big raid, I think I had like 100 and something people come in and I was like, whoa, you know, it blew my mind that people were coming over. Had a big dance party. This was like 4 years ago or so, you know, like, but the more that you watch bigger streamers, the more you see that people aren't doing that, you know, and you can learn a lot from the people that are making it big anyway. And recognizing, like, if I get a big raid from, you know, we have some bigger friends, but like Freya, for example, Freya often pulls quite a few numbers, you know, in terms of like 1,000 or so people. I'm not sitting there going, thank you for raiding me with 1,000 people. It's, hey, thanks for the raid. I appreciate the raid, you know? So again, try not to make it seem like the numbers bit is important to you, because realistically, it should be the fact that that person's chosen to raid you that's important.
I think overall, when it comes to like having your number, your viewership, people pointing out the numbers, if anything, it really affects my content. It really does, because I'm still, and Gid and I talk about just being open. You know, I do have that imposter syndrome. I feel like I'm trying to overcome it. You know, anything. I just had a birthday this weekend, and we had some really generous, amazing people and a lot of supportive people over the weekend. And, you know, I felt so guilty after the stream, and I'm still like kind of feeling guilty about everything, because I just don't feel like, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know, I don't deserve this kind of thing. And I have suffered with this for a bit, and having people point that out, like with numbers or whatever, it makes me feel so guilty. And when I have that feeling, it gives me anxiety. It affects my content. It makes me clam up. You know, it just freaks me out. I'm still in the mentality of streaming for like 8, 10, 15 people. And I had to take that viewership count off. I had to do it because it was getting to where I would just freeze. And I've always been somebody that I've always been like a performer, because really, when you're a streamer, you're entertainment, you're performing, you know, for an audience almost. I mean, you're not putting on an act, or you're not performing. Well, some people, I mean, play musical instruments or whatever, but I had always been in front of an audience, whether it be like music or volleyball, you know, stuff like that. And I would just, sometimes I'd get stage fright really bad. I've been in plays, and when I knew, even back then, when I knew how many people were going to be there, if I knew like a stadium was going to be packed or something, I would have really bad performance anxiety. I know that's like a weird phrase to use, but I just kind of get stage fright, and it would affect me so much. And it's the same with streaming. I've always suffered from like that imposter syndrome. I had applied to this really famous school. You had to apply to even apply. So you had to apply for a position to even have an audition. And I applied, this was, well, I don't know, like 10 years almost ago. And the pressure of it, and I knew how many people I had to perform this. It was flute. And just the overwhelming pressure of it, I just freeze up and I blew it. And since then, like, I have just always had this imposter syndrome. And when you tell a streamer, hey, you have this many people, you got to think about what's going to go through that streamer's head and how it's going to affect. If you're enjoying the content, let them be. You know, don't talk about numbers to a streamer. They'll either want to know themselves later on, you know, when they review their stream, or they get that Twitch email of their Twitch summary, you know, let them enjoy their moment, because you don't know how stuff like that is going to affect them.
I definitely had a similar moment the first time I was on Twitch Rivals as well, because it had been a long time. You know, I've performed on stage and other stuff like that too in person, but it's a whole different ball game being in a tournament, I guess, like an esports tournament, especially playing against people that have, you know, really high viewerships and who are really good at the game. And you're there like, man, I just hope that I don't look like a fool. And I definitely had big nerves going in. But I tried to quell those nerves and learn from that experience. And unfortunately for me, I was going in with a team of people. So I tried to keep them calm. That became my focus, was keep my teammates calm. And we performed really well. We came like
y'all did awesome.
7th out of 20th, 7 out of 20 on our first ever Twitch Rivals. And I think that really helped me. But at the same time, there was still like 20,000 people watching. And that's not something that you can sit there and think about at the time. Because if you start to focus on the amount of people that are watching you do that or perform that thing, that can definitely get into your head, and you don't need your chat telling you that information either. So, being like, hey, I'm so happy for you that you're big time now because you've got this many people watching you. It's like, just be happy for me, you know, like that's all you needed to say is, hey, I'm really happy for you, like on how you're doing or whatever. It doesn't need to be that extra part of the sentence that people feel this innate sense of having to say it, you know. I think that's, and like something that
the
happens.
Anxiety that you can have like in a chat, like when I do know that maybe I have, you know, some anxiety that day, or, you know, whether it be from like a raid or something, I'll just be like, oh guys, I'm nervous. You know, sometimes it's nice to like let your chat know, like, hey, you know, I'm getting extra anxiety today or whatever. Just trying to segueing into like, don't let like the streamers be a therapist in that moment. Like, don't ever let your streamers be your therapist. Because we had our own issues. We are not professionally qualified. I mean, I know there's a couple actual Twitch therapist streamers out there, but you know, it's not, you know, it's not something that
99% of people are not professional healthcare workers or therapists or
some
psychologists.
Of us are, but we're not gonna. This is our work. Like our work is different than Twitch.
Anytime I talk about my mental health, I always bring up I'm not a healthcare professional. And this is just my advice or my thoughts on a topic. It's never, you know, and I will always tell people if they feel like they need more help, go and seek professional help. And I think that's something that people do often, where they come in, you might be having a really good stream, having a good day, someone comes in, you're like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, this person's just killed themselves, or and it's horrible. My dog just died,
dead and I want to die.
Yeah,
it's awful.
It is horrible, and we're not sitting there at any point not feeling sorry for that person. But again, read the room, because it can come at times where it can be incredibly hard for the streamer to react to what you're saying in the first place, and that within itself is not fair on the streamer or on yourself, because you're not going to get the response that you're after anyway from doing that. And I think ultimately it's the equivalent of burdening somebody live on stage. If Beyonce's performing and she's live and she holds the mic out to the person to sing the next line of I can see your halo, and they're like, my dog just died, then it's not going to end well,
To not laugh at that.
But that is the equivalent of what's going on. You're live performing and somebody's saying that, and it's not pleasant for either party.
Yeah, it's not.
And again, I'm not at any point trying to negate that. And there have been certain moments where people have come in, they've said that they're not feeling great, and I will turn around and say, hey, I'm really sorry that you're having a bad day. Let me open the floor up to you, and you tell us about why you're having such a bad day, because maybe that will help. And the thing is that one person, when I did that, they said, my friend just died, it's been horrible. I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. And then they said, I'm going to bed. From their perspective, they just wanted to tell someone that had happened. They wanted to have that moment of people saying, hey, we're sorry that that's happened. And at no point am I going to sit there and judge you for wanting that reaction. However, it puts a lot of pressure on a streamer, and it's not fair to do that to them, especially while they're at work, Yeah. Because a lot of the time this is people's jobs. So please be aware of reading the room and timings on those kind of things, because there will be times where you might be having a deeper conversation as a streamer and you might be able to bring that stuff up. So
yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just about reading the room. All these can be summarized by reading the room,
Well, there's a lot of other stuff you've got on here, but I know that you've also got a lobby coming up soon. So what we could do is we could split this into 2 parts. Okay. And then we can come back to the other parts of the Twitch etiquette, because I don't want to just skip over them, because they're all very important topics, and I think we could talk about them for a long time. But I think it would be important to not just sort of summarize them in one block, because I know you've got to go and do some streaming soon.
I know.
So did you want to maybe do one more? I think we have time for like one more, if you want to summarize that.
Also, like, I have a lot of people that ask for streamers' details, and we just had a friend that has been going through some stuff, and myself too. I've dealt with people asking about details, and I think it's just so incredibly dangerous for both people. I mean, people will ask me where I live, and I'm not going to say I lie to them. I tell them I live in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, even the area is like, I say North Georgia, because North Georgia is definitely different than South Georgia. It's kind of like different parts of the country.
Yep.
Georgia is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I leave it at that. And I feel like I've seen a lot of, especially earlier streamers, they're like, oh, I'm from, I don't know. They'll be like, I'm from Austin. I think at that point you should just be like, I'm from Texas. I don't think one thing I regret out of anything, I've never regretted streaming. I've never regretted anything. I wish I never started using a face cam. And I've mentioned this before, just because I like to have my privacy, because I've had instances where I had an old account. This isn't my PastaroniRavioli, is not my first account. And I had people hack into my account, get my information for my birthday. I celebrated being identity theft. It happened.
This stream
theft is not a joke, Jim.
This stream that just happened on your birthday, you had somebody hack your credit card or debit card, and steal various amounts of money from your account on your birthday.
Happy
So
birthday. Yeah, I
yeah.
thought Wells Fargo was like, hey, happy birthday. You know, like businesses will send emails like, oh, it's my birthday
Hmm.
wish from Wells Fargo. Well, yeah, no. But I think the least amount of info you can give on Twitch is the best. When I don't tell people don't know my last name. You know, people only know my business email. I think there should be really like more awareness to how giving as the info that we give to people can be so dangerous. The more you tell people on the internet, the more dangerous it is.
Hmm.
Because 99% of the people on Twitch are absolutely lovely, and they don't want anything except happiness for you. But then there's one person that can completely just ruin your Twitch experience. Not only that, can hurt you, your family, and you know, people really need to be careful
Yep.
ultimately.
I agree.
So, yeah.
And it's hard because
Um,
it's people's livelihoods. It's not just, hey, I'm streaming to have fun a lot of the time. It's a lot of people, this is their career. And one thing I always bring it back to is King Gathalion. He at one point, this was back when Breath of the Wild was coming out for the first time. He had a deal with Nintendo that he could play the game a day early, which was huge back then because nobody was ever doing anything with Nintendo really. They weren't
yeah.
ever giving streamers, you know, access to early stuff or anything like that. So he had 6,000 people in his chat, and his Streamlabs didn't work on stream. It didn't load up, and it showed his IP, and he got DDoSed. And just in that moment, somebody had decided, I can ruin not just one person's day, but those 6,000 people watching just by wrecking his stream that day. And it was so unfortunate because, again, he was beside himself that he'd had that opportunity and it was taken away from him because somebody felt the need of doing that, or they were jealous or whatever it is. Like, please understand that you are affecting people's lives, and it's not, so it's not funny, you know.
No.
It can really hurt people. So yeah, I always felt bad for him for that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a that I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine how that was like you're so hyped for something and then something like unimaginable happens. So yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you very much for stepping in, obviously.
I'm left on a sad one. I should have picked a different one.
No. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to talk to you this week. And obviously we'll sort out a part 2 as well, so people can listen to the rest of these Twitch etiquette things, because I think it's important, especially for those that are new to the streaming platform and all that stuff. It's thank you for stepping in as a guest as well. I do appreciate it as well.
Oh yeah. Thanks for having me.
Because I am trying to put these out as regularly as I can. So I would like to try and continue that for not only my own sake, but for the sake of the people that are watching. And where you might be watching is YouTube at Streamer Consciousness. You might be watching on or listening to Spotify. We're on Spotify and other various platforms for podcasts. You also can find us at Casterminds on Twitter. And then also you can find me on Twitch, YouTube, all that stuff at Giddawid. Where can they find you again, Steph?
Yeah, so I stream on Twitch TV /PastaroniRavioli, and my Twitter is PastarOraviolis.
Like ravioli, but plural.
Yes, the raviolis.
Yeah.
And then on Instagram, PastaroniRavioli.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for being on. And yeah, we will conclude this another time. But thank you very much for listening, everybody. And I hope you guys have a good day. Go and be nice to those streamers out there. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.